So when do we start?
There's an auction coming up. Biggest collection of Spanish Renaissance art and artifacts anywhere this century. One of those items is La Cruz de la Hermandad. Only it's not a cross. It's a key. A key that unlocks the chamber where the infamous 18th hid that gold.
Very cool, but the legend said there are 2 keys, one for the captain and one for the crew, so no one man could steal the gold by himself. 1 key doesn't do us any good.
You ever get outside when you were a kid? I mean, how do you remember all this shit? There's only one thing. I already have the captain's key. The second one's in there.
Hey, Adrenalheads, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
I'm Robert.
And this episode, we're going to be covering a new movie, which is called Uncharted, which came out in 2022, not too long ago, and was a very big success. So I thought since it came out on digital streaming, why not cover it? So, Robert, do you want to give us the synopsis on this particular movie?
Not a problem. So the synopsis is treasure hunter Victor Sully Sullivan recruits street-smart Nathan Drake to help him recover a 500-year-old fortune amassed by explorer Ferdinand Magellan. What starts out as a heist soon becomes a globe-trotting, white-knuckle race to reach the prize before ruthless Santiago Moncada, can't say that very well, can get his hands on it. And I'm Spanish. I can't believe I can't say that. If Sully and Nate can decipher the clues and solve one of the world's oldest mysteries, they stand to find $5 billion in treasure, but only if they could learn to get along.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah,
we do see how they do that within the film, which is so funny too, because they're just not. It's like oil and vinegar. They just don't work.
And you can just see how they it's a back and forth thing. They don't trust each other, So yeah, it was interesting.
It makes for an interesting combination, and a lot of people at the very beginning when this movie was rumored to come out, they thought that Mark Wahlberg's going to play Nathan Drake, and no, it turned out to be Tom Holland, and they thought, wow, he's going to be so young, and it was all that stigma of everybody wanting what's his name,
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah,
they wanted him to play Nathan Drake, which would have been great because I guess he did a short or something years ago.
He did a 15-minute short, which also this guy from the guy who plays the sergeant in Avatar, or not the sergeant, I guess like the big drill instructor looking guy that turns out to be the bad guy. He also comes out in that.
Oh wow!
And so it was Nathan's way of trying to tell Sony, hey, I want to do the part.
Yeah. and it would have worked out if they actually caught on to it. A lot of fans wanted it. They were voting for it. They're like, hey, let's do this. And it never happened.
Well, if you look at the character in the video game, he looks exactly like
he's
Phelan.
got that look. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of matches the age because, honestly, Nathan Drake in the actual game, and I haven't really played it, but I've seen other people play it. He has that look of that age.
Yes.
Not that I'm not saying Nathan Fillion is actually that young, but regardless, he could still play it and get away with it.
At the time that it came out, I mean, like I said, I forgot when that short came out, but a lot of people, of course, I think relating the character to the way he looked in Firefly.
Yes.
So, because in Firefly, he was young enough to be that character. And then later on, when he did that 15 minutes, he was already a little older. I guess right now, too old to probably play that type of character, which, requires a lot of physicality.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, he's also the rookie now, so he's doing a lot on his own, which is pretty cool. And that show is doing very well. So, not like
haven't
Nathan
caught it
Fillion
yet, but
doesn't have anything going for him right now.
I saw it, and I have to tell you that I liked it, unlike other people that didn't like it, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people, there was a bunch of people that I knew that watched this movie and were not happy with it.
Yeah,
and
it's the diehard fans of the game. That's the problem.
That is the problem. But the thing is, I look at it in the perspective, I'm terrible at RPGs. There's only been a few that I've played myself that I could actually get through and play. I can't play those. I've done Batman to Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, I guess.
Right.
I played the Spider-Man game that came out not too long ago, a few years ago.
Oh my God,
now it's a few years ago.
I just binged that for the last 3 weeks, I think. Because I just got my hands on a PlayStation 5 finally. And
no, I meant the older one. You got the Miles Morales one, and then you got the older one that came out. I guess they put it out for PS5.
Well, that's the one I was playing. Yeah, that's the one I was playing. I haven't even, then I started playing Miles Morales. But yeah, no, it's an addicting game. And, I apply, I subscribe to their, to one of their services where they give you a whole bunch of different games. And one of them was Uncharted.
Oh yeah,
and so I was playing. Actually, I was playing that right before we got on this podcast. So, and it was it's fun, not what I'm used to, but it was cool.
Yeah, it's an adventure film more than anything, or an adventure game. With RPGs, I just have a hard time. I don't know how many times I've killed Norman Reedus in that particular game that came out a few years ago.
Right.
I had a hard time with that. I'm not really good with RPGs. I'm showing my age at the point where I prefer like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all the older style video games that we used to play as kids.
Okay.
That's how I am. But I do try to do the RPGs, and I have a bunch, and I'll take the time here and there. I can't really sit hours upon hours playing RPGs. I just don't know how some people do it. But I could see how addictive it can be because you really want to get through that hump to get to the next, story that comes up after you've achieved that level.
Exactly.
And, to me, I'm like, I want to play for a little bit and see where I go from here, and then just take it little by little. Somebody would probably, I think my niece said it to me. She goes, "Oh yeah, you'll probably take 3 years in order to play this whole video game." And I said, "Yeah, probably." And it's usually the case. That's what happened with me with Arkham Asylum. It took me at least 2 years. She goes, "You're still playing this game?" And my nephew said that, and my nephew's he's in his 30s now. And he said to me, he goes, "Uncle Mark, you're terrible at this."
Yeah, no, let me tell you, I see some people playing, one person I know that's all he does is plays video games all day. Day in and day out, and I mean, they could get through a game so quick. Me, I take my time.
Yeah,
I mean, myself I used to be a graphic artist and animator. My problem is, I'm one of those people that basically I see something. It's like saying, "Ooh, shiny object." Yeah. And I want to admire the actual work that was done in the video game. And most of the times I'm getting killed because I'm stopping to look at the pretty pictures. I want to
look at the pretty stuff. It's so cool.
So yeah, but once I catch on, I'm like, all right, I'll have fun with it. But yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm just like, oh yeah, let me look at this. This looks cool.
Yeah, but they try to cater this film to the gamers, but I think they were trying to broaden its audience with more family-oriented.
Right.
Because of the action, gives you that thrill of the movie, pretty much people were equating it to Raiders of the Lost Ark, like Indiana Jones, Goonies, National Treasure, all these, and maybe even James Bond at certain points.
Right.
And with the deception and being deceiving and how manipulative he is, or what was that magician movie that came out years ago where they had Dave Franco and a whole bunch of them?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, man. That it reminded me of that. It was like, it reminded me a little bit of that movie. It's like you don't know what's going to come next or who's going to deceive who. So, yeah, it gave that feel, which I understand. And to me, not have played the game. I've only played maybe, they give you those trailers to play. To get a feel,
the demos or something like that.
Yeah, demo.
Yeah,
and then I played it a little bit, and that's about it. I didn't get hooked to the point where I was going to buy it, but I think they were trying to appeal to that group of gamers, but they're also trying to appeal to the mass market of people who are film buffs or people who love action and adventure films. And I think they really keyed it in with that Goonies aspect at the very end, or even in the middle part where they're under the church. And we'll get into this more as we talk about the movie itself. But for right now, we're going to go into people we may know within the film Uncharted.
Oh, okay.
That came in 2022. So I'll start off. In the first one, we all know him, Mr. Tom Holland himself, who plays Nathan Drake. So he's known to everyone on the planet as our new Spider-Man from all the Marvel and Sony films. So I'm not really going to go through the list of movies that he's been in within those. But he was also in a great movie called The Impossible that came out in 2012. And that had Ewan McGregor in it. And he was really young in it and did such a great job. Daphne and Paige have already covered it on Run For Your Lives, which I highly recommended them to do, which was amazing to listen to. He was so young, but it was based upon a real event, and there was a lot of action in that. And then one other movie. I
never got to catch that one.
Oh, really? You got to see it. It's based on a typhoon that happened, and they're an English family that are on vacation. And it was one of the biggest things that happened in that resort. And it wiped out everything. And it's the real story of this particular family. The mother was a doctor. I forget her name, but she played in The Ring, the remake.
Oh, okay.
And also King Kong, the most recent King Kong. Not the most recent, but the Peter Jackson King Kong.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, so...
Naomi Watts? No, what is it? Naomi
Watts?
Yeah,
Naomi Watts. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I forgot her name, but it was done very well. So, and he showed his acting chops at such a young age, too. He wasn't, in his 20s or anything at that point. He was in his teens. And he did very well on it, I thought.
Yeah, that's something I got to look out for then.
Yeah. The next one that he did was, I'll just mention it once, Onward, which came out on Disney Plus during the whole pandemic and everything in 2020, which I thought was pretty cool. It was a little fantasy
I actually liked that movie. I mean, it didn't get that good of a reception, but I thought it was actually pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, it was a cute movie. It was again, Pixar always, tries to tug at the heart with the family themes and things like that. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I actually haven't watched it in a while, but I'm looking forward to watching it again eventually. So the next one, Rob? Next one is Mark Wahlberg. So Mark Wahlberg as Victor Sully. We all know Mark Wahlberg. I mean, of course, he was Marky Mark. Mm-hmm. He started as Marky Mark. Has been in, tons of other well-known movies. Everything from, Boogie Nights, I believe, was one of them. Yep. All the way to, if I look at his filmography, I mean, he's done so much. Planet of the Apes, which I wasn't happy about. So he was in the Basketball Diaries in 1995. Right. And Four Brothers in 2005, which was actually pretty good. And Four Brothers? Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. So The Perfect Storm, which was also a great movie. Three Kings. The other one, The Italian Job. Mm-hmm. Which, for some reason, I always used to go to that one movie because it had a pair of Martin Logan speakers. That one of the guys said, I want speakers that would literally blow the clothes off of women. Yep, Seth Green's character. I remember that. And I remember working in Best Buy. We had those speakers, and I was like, "These are the speakers that will blow the clothes off of women." He's also slated to be. It's in pre-production for the $6 Million Man movie. Are they finally doing that? It's in pre-production, according to his IMDb. That thing has been in production like hell for such a long time. They've always said that it was going to be him, but no idea that they finally went through with it. Yeah, they greenlit it, but hopefully it's something that's going to come out soon. I'm curious about it. Yeah. And then, of course, he came out in Transformers Age of Extinction. Yeah. That was a horrible movie. I think I just found a Transformer.
I think I use that all the time. He said Transformer. That heavy Boston accent that he has.
Yeah. He came out also in Mile 22. That was actually a good movie. I think that came out directly into Netflix or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very good movie there. The Ted, you ever seen Ted?
Yeah, I love the Ted series.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like two movies. Yep.
So yeah, he's one of those actors that has had some great success on some things, and then there's other things that you're like, I guess you just need the money on that one. Just like any other actor, but it's just the one thing I will admire about him is that he gets up at 3 a.m. to start working out. That's something I just won't never do.
Yeah, I don't think I will ever do that. It'd probably kill me if I did that.
So,
right.
And then the next guy, next person.
I'll do the next one. That would be Sophia Taylor-Ali, and she plays Chloe Fraser. Mind you, she started off as a child actor that played in a lot of Barney shows, like the purple dinosaur shows back in the day.
Right.
So she was a kid actor. Then moved on to shorter roles in years through TV, but then landed a role in Grey's Anatomy and from like 2017 to 2019 as Dr. Dahlia Kadri, which she cemented a role in there, which is pretty cool. So it shows her, adult acting chops. Then a movie that I've never heard of that I had to throw in here. It's called The F Happened, so you could tell that's probably a curse. And that came out in 2021.
Huh.
So that's all I got from her.
The F Happened? I thought it was to be announced.
Apparently it was in 2021. I got to look to
really?
See if it's
okay,
been out
so
or not. I just looked at the IMDb's to check all this stuff out. I didn't really go see these films, but...
Right. Wasn't she the one that also came out in, what was the... Slumdog Millionaire?
Not sure. I didn't see that listed.
That's not her, I think. I'm not sure.
No.
Okay. No, she, it is funny because her character and the character in the video game look very much alike.
Which is pretty cool.
Right. That was the one, that was the criticism on this movie was the fact that Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg didn't look the part.
Mm-hmm.
But she definitely did.
Well, it's fine. They could easily continue on because, as we all know, there's an ending scene in the movie itself where they could actually do another sequel.
The way it ends is very interesting.
Yes.
So I definitely will say that. And then the next person, I guess, on the list is Antonio Banderas.
Mm-hmm.
Actor from Spain, long career. I mean, he started. I first noticed Antonio Banderas in Desperado.
Yeah, 95. I did too.
Yeah, that was just a crazy. I still watch it once in a while. It's just a crazy movie.
Mm-hmm.
Did the voiceover of Puss in Boots, which I thought that was very funny. Very well known for The Mask of Zorro.
Yep.
He also co-starred with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, in Assassins. Yeah. That came out in the 90s as well.
Right.
And a lot of kids nowadays, or actually they're going to be in their 20s, will know mostly as Gregorio Cortez in the Spy Kids film.
Yeah, that's right.
He played the father.
He definitely did. He was also in Interview with the Vampire. He was, the main vampire or the lead vampire or something like that. He was like
a lead vampire when they hit in Spain. It's just at the time, and Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt's character brings the Kristen Dunst character there, and they deem it's like, oh, you turned a child. They were gonna kill her at that point. And
right.
She winds up sacrificing herself at that, But yeah, he played a decent character in that, and in an Anne Rice film too.
Yeah, he's always been very well known for his voice because, of course, he still has that, that accent, but, very much the voice of like the Spanish, romantic man or something like that,
Yeah. He's also the Nasonex B.
Is he really?
Yes, the Nasonex.
I did not know that. I did not know that. And he also came out in the what was the one with the Expendables?
Oh,
He came out
yes.
in the
Yeah, yeah,
Expendables
yeah.
too. His part was actually very funny on that because he was just such a goofball on that.
Yes, he was. And yeah, we all know Antonio Banderas is. Like you mentioned Antonio Banderas, anybody can name a movie that he's been in. But in
Pretty
this, he
much.
plays a sinister villain. And that makes it really pretty cool.
Yeah, he wanted to, I think, to be like the world's best, assassin or something like that. I forgot what it was. I just know that it was something that was just, he was so funny during the whole thing. Or like, he wanted to be included or something like that. I haven't seen that movie in such a long time, but
Yeah.
yeah, but he's very well known. I mean, very well known, big activist too. So
Yeah.
so amazing person.
Well, last up would be Tati Gabrielle, or Tatiana Gabrielle, who plays Braddock. And she could be seen as Birdie in Freakish, which was in 2017 on Hulu. It was a TV series.
All right.
So that's, I don't know if it's still ongoing, but that's what she was most notably rolled for. The Emoji Movie in 2017, and Marion Bellamy in the Netflix show You, that is still going.
Huh.
And it started in 2021. So actually, friends of mine that are on the Podcastica Network, Paik and Rima, are covering You. So if you listeners really are following the show You, go listen to Paik and Rima on the Podcastica Network for Strange Indeed. So you can check out all their episodes and their coverage. They do episodically, so check them out there.
It's funny. I never heard of her until I saw this movie.
Same here.
Yeah.
I haven't even watched You.
Yeah.
So
at first, when I saw her, I thought, did they get maybe, like, I had to look it up because I thought they probably grabbed, like, like a recording artist or something like that for the, because she has a look of somebody that should be a recording artist.
yeah.
And I saw her and I was like, did they grab a recording artist? And then I saw her resume and I was like, oh no, she's always been an actress.
Yep. Awesome. And we'll move forward to general thoughts of the film. So, Rob, what were your thoughts of Uncharted 2022?
Well, my thoughts on this was, because, again, I think as we were discussing, because I was not an avid player of the game or a huge fan of it, or something like that, I was able to sit back and enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun movie. Has some great action scenes, has its funny moments, had some moments that, of course, of disbelief. But other than that, I came out of there going, you know what? I enjoyed myself. I mean, it's not a memorable movie. It's not one that I was like, oh, it changed my life.
Yeah, I know.
But it was a good popcorn movie that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was it had some great moments. It had, the way it started, the way the movie actually started, which was supposed to be a picture perfect scene, just like in the game, where it's Tom Holland, stuck on the crates.
Which is very classic
with
from
the
what I
airplane.
remember.
Yeah, so yeah, that part was in the game itself. So I thought, oh, okay, this is starting pretty cool. So yeah, no, it had its and I thought, you know what, Tom Holland, I thought was great. The problem with Tom Holland is that sometimes he just reminds me so much of Spider-Man. So to give you a quick example of that, on the part where he's on the crates and he's trying to go back on the plane, and one of the bad guys grabs his foot and he kicks him and he leaves and he goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." It just reminded me of Peter Parker saying something like that. And I was like, okay, so this is just Peter Parker in a different adventure.
Yeah, it kind of takes you out of it because of what you know from before. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was still a charming movie. And then, I would say the rest of the cast was pretty good. And my biggest, again, I wish that it had a little more of the what I would say the Indiana Jones part of it more than
I agree. Yeah,
but
actually, that's what I really appreciated about the film is the more exploratory of it.
right.
It's pretty funny how they during the auction scene reminded me something out of Temple of Doom. In a sense where he's trying to get the poison and he's trying to run after.
Right.
He's trying to get away from the Scottish guy, and he can't understand him. And then you got Underneath the Cathedral, which I really enjoyed too.
Yeah.
And then the more historic aspect of everything involved within that. And they kind of salt and pepper modern stuff within it, which I pretty much enjoyed as well. Because it's like, oh, there's that. Oh, okay, it's kind of different.
Right.
Very much like what they do with Moon Knight, where, if you guys are listening, and as you guys know, we're covering it on Panels to Pixels now. But with Moon Knight, they portray Egypt as it's supposed to be, where it's like literally in downtown Egypt. And, you see the pyramids right outside your building, and it's like there's buildings. And this is the same respect with the church and everything else. There's more modern stuff around it. Which I do appreciate because it shows the reality of what is present day. It's not like
exactly.
You're not suspended in that world of like, oh, it's hidden away, it's dark, and you got to go look for it, and it's like in its own little world. No, it's real, and we have a regular world around us. Just like if somebody decided to go onto the Intrepid and steal something from that, and you realize it's on the West Side Highway. Right by the water.
Exactly. No, and it's funny because when I remember when a few years ago when I went to Europe, Europe still has, especially I actually went to Spain and went to Toledo, Spain, which a lot of people say Toledo. But that was the one thing I noticed is like the entire town was just this old town that's been there forever.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look out, you look outside, as you're walking, you see the souvenir shops. You see the, you see people just with their cameras and stuff like that in this very old world. So I thought that was actually cool. That like you were saying, they're trying to figure this out in a scene where it's like, hey, yes, all this stuff is hundreds of years old, but modern people are still living, on top of all this history.
Yes.
So
yeah, it's like if you go to Philly and you look for all the stuff from the movie National Treasure, you'll see it, just like in New York City too, which is so funny too, which we'll so get into later.
I was just seeing that movie the other day too. It always kills me. But
yeah.
No, actually, yeah, it was like I said, I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed the action sequences that were kind of over the top, I guess that's part of the game too, or things like that. But again, the archaeology, I would say that, them trying to figure things out, the detective work on them trying to figure out, that was the part that I liked the most.
Yeah, same here. That falls into what my thoughts were. It's like more of the aspect of, you got the feels of, like I mentioned it before, you got Indiana Jones, Goonies, James Bond, all the espionage in it. It entertained me, but also gave us that flavor of history and that intrigue of learning, just like we did in Goonies. Because you got the whole pirate aspect at the very end, which I love. I'm a Pirates of the Caribbean fan from the first three films, and I love those films. And on top of that, you got, feelings of Goonies in it when he's on the boat. And then on top of that, the Indiana Jones feeling of him when they're looking for the map, they're trying to figure things out. Then he has to decide figure out a cipher from his brother through postcards. That was pretty cool. Kind of
which was very interesting how they, that I should have known, but they kept putting it in your face, all these postcards every time he would look at these postcards. And I'm like, and at one point I'm like, is there supposed to be a clue in all this?
Yeah, it's a foreshadowing that we don't really realize it's in front of us.
Right.
Point, Yeah, I liked it. I love the like you said. It looks like the choreography with the action sequences were dedicated for those RPG players for the game,
Right.
and that cargo scene was meant to be and direct reflection of the game itself, which I admired because recognized it right away. And they show it to us in the very beginning, and they give us the whole sequence at the end, because that's how they introduce the movie. So it's him on the cargo, but it falls into him remembering back with his brother Sam.
Correct.
And then they move into that sequence. But then we finally get that overall sequence at the very end of the movie, or towards the end of the movie, which I really did enjoy. Now, mind you, it is a little bit over the top. As being an action fan, adventure fan, it filled all those qualifications for me to sit there, like you said, a popcorn film. Will I watch it again? Probably, just because it's got some fun moments in it. And a lot of the comedy in it, especially with the banter between Holland and Wahlberg, was funny. The quick quips that they have with each other, and the bantering
that was
pretty cool.
That was fun. Again, two people that I never thought that would be
in a movie together.
Yeah, in a movie together, right? I mean, but no, that like you're right. That part of it was actually, it was fun.
Yeah. So overall, I did enjoy the film. I would recommend it to somebody to go see if they like that kind of action adventure. But if they want anything true to what is historical, I wouldn't say do it, because I'm going to nitpick it. But if you know somebody that's like, oh, I like Goonies, I like Indiana Jones, it's like, well, you might like this. Well, do you like espionage stuff too? Yeah, well, this is your movie.
It's funny there, and I'm trying to look for the exact quote. But there was a critic that said that it was kind of like this Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Raiders of the Lost, what was it? And they said it all in one sentence, but it included Raiders, Fast and the Furious. It included like all these different movies. It was like all rolled up into one. And,
wow.
I just can't find the damn quote. I've been trying to. Oh, here it goes.
All right.
It says, this guy, Owen Gleiberman of Variety, found the film watchable in a thin Raiders of the Lost National Treasure of the Fast and the Furious Caribbean way.
I think he hit it on all points.
He hit it perfect. I was like, okay, I kind of like that.
That's a lot to say in one sentence to somebody.
One sentence, he pretty much described exactly what what this movie feels like.
Pretty cool.
So yeah.
All right. Cool. So we're gonna move right along, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna move right into our favorite moments within the movie. So we like to alternate. So Rob, what was one of your first favorite moments?
Again, my first favorite moment was that part where the movie starts. He's unconscious. He's the crates are just just kind of flying behind the plane. And I was like, wow, okay, really cool shot of trying to mirror exactly what the video game did, which I thought was pretty cool. And like I said, I thought it was like really charming, the whole hit that or when Tom Holland kicks the bad guy, and the bad guy goes flying away. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And again, I was just saying, he just seems so Peter Parker at that moment. But yeah, that was one of that was one of my favorite parts there. And cool. I think, like we were just discussing, the whole detective work of doing the whole thing.
Yeah. I would say I love seeing how we get Nate in the very beginning. He's a bartender, and he's doing the whole Tom Cruise cocktail thing too for the girl in front of him, trying to impress her, but also boring her with a history lesson while he's doing the drink of how it was. And at that point later on, we get a little foreshadowing too of what he uses to pickpocket her, because he uses that lighter that doesn't work.
Right.
So I really like that, how they were able to put that in there into the actual film itself. So that way, that's his way. And then obviously he gets pickpocketed by Sully himself, too. So it's, and you realize it's like, all right, Sully's actually, looking for him.
I find it interesting because when you see him in that scene, right, at first, you think he's just trying to pick up the girl or something like that.
Yep.
But it seems like as soon as he saw her, he already knew what he was going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, so you kind of get that feeling, or you get a little bit more insight into this character of like, okay, he's a bartender, but he's also this con artist who is trying to just either swipe jewelry or pickpocket people
Mm-hmm.
in order for him to get what he wants. So and that was like what I got from him. It was like, okay, at first I thought it was like, oh, okay, he crashed, he burned and crashed and burned with the lady that was at the bar, but it was more like he was staking her out. And
yeah, he was checking her out for that one purpose, so that way he can make some sort of money extra other than what he was making at the bar.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, okay, I see what he's up to. So, and the Sully part was actually very good. And funny enough, when I first saw it in the theater, I did not see. I don't know if you saw it the second time around. I did not see Mark Wahlberg's arm go behind Tom Holland.
No, I didn't.
You didn't see that. So, like when Tom Holland was going to change his drink,
Ah.
right? You see Mark Wahlberg's arm come up, and then it comes down again, right? But when you first see it, you don't notice that. But since I knew that he was going to get pickpocketed, all of a sudden I saw it, and I was like, all right. So at least they didn't make it seem like, okay, he pickpocketed, with his, with his mind or something. Right?
Nah.
Right.
Yeah, it was like unseen. It was off camera that he did it.
Yeah, but you could see the arm go up and then go down. I was like, okay, that was good.
Any others that you liked?
Again, I think it's just really cool, the whole thing with his brother.
Yeah.
Of course,
the introduction.
Introduction with his brother. That part was also part of like it reminds me of like I said, of the Uncharted game, where in the beginning of this game, his brother's taking Nathan in the orphanage from one building to the other, and they're hopping from one rooftop to the other, and which kind of gives you like all games do, the feel of what you're going to be running into throughout the rest of the game by jumping and holding on to ledges and things like that. But that whole scene of them going from one building to the other in the movie, when you see them going into the room to look at the map, you could kind of relate and go, oh, they were probably doing the same thing as in the game, which was jumping from one building to the other, trying to get into this one thing. So that part I thought was really cool too. And other than that, I think the craziest part was the two Spanish galleons, which were, or the two old sailing ships, which were being lifted by
helicopters,
heavy lift helicopters, and then just the physics on that, I'm still
trying to figure that one out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those were those were some of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I really like the church scene when they go. It's Sully, Nate, and Chloe, and they're trying to figure out what the key, the cross that they got. Literally, it's a key that we find out, and they have to go to the church. You see Nathan, he actually figures out within the church where the direction is, where they have to go. That is what I loved about it, because, they talk about heaven and hell. They have to go. They have to do the keys together at the same time. And of course, Sully doesn't have his reading glasses on, and he goes, oh, clockwise. No, and he almost kills them. Then they do counterclockwise, and they're like, oh, just like stay away from it and do it counterclockwise. And they are able to get to it, and then they figure that, Sully has to go somewhere else, and then they have to continue on.
Right.
And of all things they go through is like a rave party
There's a
in this
rave going
bar.
on.
And it gets him in there, and then he sees it over the bar, and they have to sneak in. They finally get in. Then, good thing that he was able to fix Sully's, phone with the GPS, and then,
Right.
obviously makes the joke about him. You really, dude? You have Tinder on here? And, and he goes, I own it. So, and then the fact that you get that whole thing where it feels like it's an Indiana Jones or a Goonies vibe where there's going to be drowning, and then you see Sully up there dealing with his own issues at a mall. He's in a mall of all things, and I saw Papa John's in the back, and he actually fights on the counter of Papa John's. And then they were able to go through that, and I thought it was pretty cool in the sense of like what we just talked about having, you have all this ancient stuff, but it's surrounded by modern day
Exactly.
things
It's
around
like what you were
us.
just saying right now, the Papa John's, but yet you have this old thing behind this glass. And like I said, when I went to Spain, that's how it was. It was just all this old architecture, but yet you have like these souvenir shops in these, things, and you're like, oh, okay. But when you were saying about the Mark Wahlberg, doing the thing counterclockwise and clockwise, the funny thing was, I was like, listen, I'm right. I was right 50% of the time.
Making for that cool banter that they have that we,
Exactly.
it's like they just don't mesh well, but they seem to do okay together at times.
Right.
Even though they don't, I think by the end of the movie, they do trust each other, but throughout this, they're kind of feeling each other out at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, again, that's the part that maybe some people are comparing to the game, because in the game, I guess, Sully finds Nathan as a really, really young boy.
Yeah.
And just basically raises him as, like a father figure and stuff like this. And in this movie, it wasn't that. But you get that towards the end.
Yeah, you get that vibe of them feeling for each other, that mentor-mentee kind of respect.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that was actually, those are the parts that I was saying, that those are the parts I like. It's more of like the detective work on how they have to find, all these, historical thing or archaeological things where, they go into this chamber, they go into that. I thought the funny thing, like you just said, the rave was the funniest part. Is like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Blade to come out and have the blood come down,
You're thinking that they're getting into some kind of like, again, some Indiana Jones thing, whether you go into a chamber and then, there are traps there. No, there's a rave.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
The only other two scenes that I would really enjoy, we already mentioned them in so much because they are dominant, like the cargo plane scene with the cargo coming out. I love that. They did that and it was choreographed very well. The free fall of him constantly hitting every cargo, just, like you were saying when he kicked the guy and said, I'm sorry. No, to me, when him free falling and hitting every cargo piece as he's getting to Chloe, because Chloe's got the parachute. Right. And he's trying to fall to her, and she's like, oh, follow me. Wait, what? Grab me now, I would say. But he had a free fall, and he hit every cargo box on the way down, and and it just reminded me of Spider-Man at that point. Like, ow, ooh, ow.
You know what? You're right. I was just going to say, there is a part there. Of course, there's a whole disbelief of him hitting one cargo to the other. He should have been knocked out. But that being said, there's a part where he's crouching on top of a crate, and I'm like, very Spider-Man type of pose.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So yeah, I was like, well, I don't know if it really goes like that in real life, but yeah, no, that was actually a lot of fun.
The boat scene when he shows up and he comes out of the water, he's hearing Sam's voice in his head going over and talking about, and he has the ring and he talks to Sam in some way. Gave me all those Goonie vibes, especially when you see it and you're him coming out of the water. That I really enjoyed. And the fact that he was able to figure out, it's like, he goes, oh. And I forget what they found on top. Was it gunpowder or was it candles or something? And he goes, oh, no, that's a pirate thing. And he just, right out of the Goonies.
Yeah, it was, what was it? Was it gun? Well, no, because I just watched National Treasure, like I said, and that
they
was
use gunpowder to hide. Yes.
Right, but no, this one, I believe it was something else in there, and then like
It was spices, I think.
something like that, and there was like a board or something like that.
Yeah, a false board where he had all the gold inside. So
Right.
apparently Nathan knew where to look, and to me, it had all that whole Goonies vibe, but also the music in that scene was very good, and it just gave me the vibes of Pirates of the Caribbean at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, no, exactly.
And then, that's the reason why I really enjoyed that, and especially with the helicopter lift scene and the battling out within it. I thought it was pretty cool. The only thing that I had left was the after credit scene with Sully and Nathan at that point.
Yes,
and I was thinking this guy looks very familiar with the eye patch, and I was like, is that Joshua Jackson?
Was it really him?
I don't know. I have not looked, but he gave me the vibes of that look of Joshua Jackson. But
okay.
Apparently they were after for the map for the of Monte Cristo, so they're looking for that now. So they have a new adventure at this point planned out, and the fact that we see the cat that Nathan gave him. So
I thought that was funny. I don't go anywhere without him.
Hey, Mr. Whiskers comes with me everywhere I go now.
And they finally gave him the mustache that he's always known for in the video game. So in the end, he actually had the big stash on.
Yeah,
and the Hawaiian shirt, because you always see him in the video games with the Hawaiian shirt and the mustache, and always smoking a cigarette or a cigar. And so they kind of like hinted as like, here's a cigar for you, when he tossed the cigar to him, and then it was just it's like the whole he made fun of his mustache and everything. So really cool scene.
Yeah, if you go through puberty too, kid, you'll get this. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I enjoyed a lot of the stuff in this movie, more than I thought, because I went into it with very low expectations.
Same here. I wasn't something I was ready to jump to the theaters to go see, and when it came out on digital streaming, I was like, yeah, let me take a look. Okay, I did enjoy this film. It's something I could have gone and go see, because I've heard a lot of people's, unhappiness or unease about it based upon the video game, but I guess don't listen to a gamer. Go with your own expectations, or just go on a whim if you find it somewhat interesting,
The thing about fandom is that, there are some great things about it. That's the other ugly part about it, is that fans cannot be also very nasty if they don't get what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, if they don't get it the way they expect it, they try to destroy it.
Oh yeah.
And so that's the one thing I always hated about fandom.
Yeah, I see that a lot with Marvel stuff too. Yeah.
I went to see it, and I went to see it in the Dolby Theater, and my God, it had some really great sound and great visuals. But it's like you were saying, the gamers trashed it. It's just like they were doing with the show Halo, and I enjoy that. I'm enjoying that show.
I've to start watching that. It's on my list.
Watching, so it's one of those things, because again, I'm not a big fan of the game itself. I've played it here and there, but there's some people that are just crazy about that game. And that movie just dives in, or that show dives into the backstory, which I think is really cool. But a lot of people just, I guess, I don't know. I'm like, what are you expecting? Just, an hour every week of just people shooting each other like in a video game? Or something
make it like the video game. A lot of the concern a lot of people have with that is that he takes off his helmet.
Yeah.
And when they were playing that whole Mandalorian thing, it's like, oh, he took off his helmet. And it's like, well, actors got an act, and sometimes they have to show their face. But if it's not all the time, you're okay, I think.
Yeah, no. So that's why I thought Uncharted, and again, when you watch when you play the game, it does have a story behind it. So I was like, all right, so this kind of took little bits and pieces of all the different games, and and they made something up. Like I said, since I don't play the game that much, I was able to enjoy it.
Awesome. All right. Well, this is the part in the podcast we go into interesting facts or unknown facts about the movie Uncharted 2022. So, Rob, you want to start us off with the first one?
10 characters totally wasted. So between the video game voice actors visiting the set, the rigorous development process, and the blossoming out of the James Bond pitch, the making of the movie is as surreal as they come. But it's a shining example that with a desire to make something, no matter how much of a struggle it is, any movie, as how much of a struggle it is, any movie can escape development hell.
Yeah. Meaning that they had to omit certain people at certain points. So that's why we get them missing. Next up, 7 different directors have been attached to the movie. Ever since Sony got the licensing rights to the video game series back in 2008, just 1 year after the release of the first game, the development has been passed around so many times, 7 directors were attached to Uncharted before Ruben Fleischer finally committed to the project. Some of those directors attached included Sean Levy, Dan Trachtenberg, and most interestingly enough, David O. Russell. O. Russell was the first director officially attached to the project, and he had some fascinating casting ideas. The movie would have reunited Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci before The Irishman, as the director wanted De Niro to play Sully and Pesci to play Drake's uncle. Okay, that would have been a really interesting take.
And it's funny because when I saw that, at first I saw play Drake, and I'm like, I think Pesci's too old for Drake.
I'd say so too, and he's a little too short.
But that would have been interesting if they'd made this a rated R movie, because then I would have said, hey, now we're talking.
Yeah, right?
Could you imagine Pesci just going crazy?
Yeah.
It'd be a funny scene. It's like, what do you mean I make you laugh? Do I look like a clown to you?
You talking to me?
You talking to me? That would have been a great twist. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
All right. Number 3, the movie shut down on Holland's first day of filming. Just as development for the movie had gotten off the ground after a decade of struggling and was ready to enter production, COVID-19 blocked its path. Holland showed up to the set on his very first day of shooting, only to be turned away.
Yep, that screwed up a lot of movies at that point.
Yeah, no. Can you imagine? It's like, all right, I'm ready to film.
It's like, you got to quarantine for 2 weeks, and you might have to leave. Okay, I'll go back and I'll play the video game at home.
Right? I was like, oh, wait, I got more time to do some research, quote, unquote.
Yeah, right? All right, number 4. Holland thinks he made some bad acting choices. So, though his casting led to some hilarious Uncharted Twitter reactions, a lot of fans of the video games were genuinely concerned about Holland in the lead role. Some fans think that he isn't old enough and doesn't look the part. And the comments Holland made last year don't exactly put their minds at ease. As if the Dune production wasn't enough, Holland reckons he made bad acting choices while shooting the movie. The actor essentially said that he made the mistake of trying to look too cool in his scenes, rather than thinking about what is the best thing to do at the moment. So he's being a little bit too overcautious, I guess.
Right. Like I said, I mean, I think he played it well.
Yeah.
He wasn't a direct mirror of Nathan Drake, but he did it. He
did
made
his own version.
So yeah. So I thought it was cool with it. Interesting. All right. Next one is the plane stunt is the hardest action scene Tom Holland has ever done. While a lot of the action scenes are carried out by stunt doubles, Holland still takes part in a surprising amount of sequences, and a behind-the-scenes Uncharted clip that shows how the plane scene was shot shows how involved the actor really is. The plane scene, which is heavily featured in the trailer, sees Holland hanging onto the cargo as it's falling out of the airplane. Holland explains that they worked on that scene every day for 5 weeks, and he had to be 100 feet in the air, attached to a box that is spinning, He said that it's by far the toughest action scene he has ever shot in his career.
I believe it.
Yeah.
But one thing is though he's still young enough to actually do those scenes till he gets to that point where he can't really do those action scenes anymore.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Think about it. That catches up with you with age.
Oh, I get up in the morning and I'm groaning already. You know, I feel like I went through everything he went through. That feeling that he has, I go through it at just getting up in the morning.
Yeah. It's like, my back.
Exactly.
All right, number 6. The movie started as a young James Bond pitch. So after Spider-Man Far From Home wrapped, Holland pitched a young James Bond to Sony with him in the main role. Hilariously, the actor isn't afraid to admit that he was a little out of his element during the pitch, saying that it was a bad idea and that it didn't make sense. However, some good did come out of the meeting. Based on what Holland was looking for, Sony offered him the role of Nathan Drake, almost as a compromise, so funnily enough, it was a James Bond pitch that helped Uncharted barely escape development hell. Awesome.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, the fact that his pitch probably helped the movie, you know,
Get
move
made.
along. Right. But at the same time, somebody in Sony just said, you know what, screw it, we're going to use him.
Yeah. They went out on a limb for him, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. All right, number 7. Holland couldn't stop playing Uncharted while making Homecoming. Even though performers in Hollywood seem to be busy, as whenever they are not on the set, they're doing press junkets. Tons of actors are actually massive gamers. And now Holland can be added to that list too. Even though it wasn't initially what he pitched, that role was offered to him as a compromise. He seemed to still have been a fan of the game before the movie was actually offered to him. Holland couldn't stop playing Uncharted while shooting Spider-Man Homecoming. While Holland doesn't go into detail about which specific game in the series he was playing, the production of Homecoming would have been around the same time the long-awaited A Thief's End was released. That's the one I was just playing.
Ah, cool.
So, yeah. I keep I keep wondering if he was playing the game around that time, you know.
Yeah.
Was he ignoring Zendaya?
Or maybe she was there playing with him. Who knows?
Maybe.
You never know.
I always picture the scene of Indiana Jones when what was it? In Temple of Doom when he's trying to find.
Oh,
like
he's ignoring. Yep. Willie.
He's ignoring
Willie Scott.
Willie Scott, and she's like, "I'm right here,"
because he grabs the breasts of the statue and he pushes it. I'm right here.
So that's what I figured. You know, he's playing with the joysticks and stuff. She's like, "Listen, I'm right here."
You never know. She might have been dancing around with him. Who knows? While he was playing video games. Who knows what they do?
Maybe she saw him handle the controller and she says, "That's the man for me."
I guess so. You never know. Or maybe she's like, "You're not doing it right. Give it to me."
That's the part you'll never hear about.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All right. Number 8. Holland worked at a real bar to prepare for the role. Some actors do very little prepare for a role, and there are others on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, like Daniel Day-Lewis, where they will method act until they genuinely believe they're the character. Holland fits somewhere in the middle, as he didn't exactly start treasure hunting, but as Drake is a bartender in the movie, the actor worked at a bar to prepare for the role. So I wonder if he got some coaching from Mr. Tom Cruise at cocktails.
That has to be the coolest thing. You walk into the like a bar. And the person, you know, the bartender you're going to is like Tom Holland. You're like, what the hell?
I would assume since it was during COVID at that point, he had a mask on. So
that is true. You're right.
Gaten Matarazzo, who is on Stranger Things, he worked as a waiter at a restaurant with a mask on and a hat so nobody knew who it was.
Wow.
And he did that. And he was talking to, I'm forgetting the actor's name, but he does a podcast. Michael Rosenbaum. And
Okay.
Michael Rosenbaum had him on there, and he was talking about during the time of COVID what he did. And he goes, yeah, I went back to work. Oh, you went back to acting? He goes, no, I went back to work at a restaurant locally to me where I had to stay. So he worked at a restaurant and he told them, and he goes, I had a mask on, and somebody had actually recognized him because of his eyes. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tom just went in there and had a mask on or a hat, like a baseball hat, who knows, and worked the bar. You never know.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, hey, listen, a lot of actors, it's like you were saying, they try to prepare for the role. Some over prepare, some don't. But I've heard about that a lot, where actors trying to prepare for a role will try to research it, and they're right in plain sight, and you just you don't realize it's them. Yeah, exactly. All right, number 9. Holland only had 3-day break between 2 movies. As any member of the cast and crew will always mention, making a movie is such an exhausting process. And for directors, one film can generally take around 2 or 3 years to complete, from the first day of development to the final day of press. That's why directors and actors tend to take a break between movies, especially when roles are so physically demanding. But that's not the way Holland works. Holland had a 3-day break between wrapping up in Berlin for Uncharted and being on the set of Atlanta for No Way Home. What's worse is that the 3-day break also included traveling to the other side of the world. He really didn't take a break.
No, he just slept on a plane.
Yeah, that's pretty much
and
it.
Maybe slept in a hotel for a little bit and then went back to work again.
Yeah, and if you know anything about flying to the other side of the world, that part alone is just a difficult task to to do anyway. So that is crazy.
Yeah, it is. All right. Last but not least, this is something I threw in. It's number 10. And within the movie itself, we do get a cameo from the voice actor who does it, who voices Nathan Drake in the actual video game. And that's Nolan North. And he actually makes a comment at Tom Holland as Tom Holland's walking along the beach. And they make a mention of like adventures or something, and he goes, "Yeah, I've had those too." And then Tom Holland gives him that look of like, "What?"
Yeah, he says, "I just fell out of an airplane," and he goes, "Yeah, that happened to me too."
So yeah, and that's where the what look at is. So that's who that guy is.
Funny enough, when that happened, I had a feeling that was him. Because
a lot of people did. I knew because it was just like in your face at that point. I wouldn't have picked it up right away, but as soon as you heard the voice, you knew it was the guy who did the voice.
Right. I mean, they just kind of like, I did that too, and I was like, wait, is this the guy who does the voice? It has to be, because why not? So, yeah, that was pretty cool. That at least they included him.
Yeah, it works out for the movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to quotes. Do you have any?
Quotes of the movie. I'm going to be very honest with you. Not a movie that was very quotable to me.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. I think the only thing that I could think of, again, I was right 50% of the time. Mm-hmm. When, that was one part.
That's cool.
That I really liked. Yeah. Did you have one?
Oh, I have a few, which are pretty funny, though. Nathan saying, "Oh, you have a heart of gold, Sully." He's like, "Too soon?" And Sully goes, "Forever is too soon." That's at the very end in the helicopter.
Right.
Chloe saying to Nate about Sully, saying, "Sully doesn't have any friends. I should know. I'm one of them."
Exactly. They had some quotes, but I'll be honest with you, like, to me, memorable quotes are something that really sticks to you.
Sticks that to you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just picked out the funny ones. That's why.
Yeah. And the one that stuck out was just like, I'm right 50. I was right 50% of the time. So that was the one thing that I actually liked from there. And the other one was, you could either, cuddle up with me or you could stay up here.
That's right. Oh, the only other two I have would be Nathan going, "Greatness from small beginnings. That's you and me," and that's him referring to his brother. So it's kind of like one of those nice scenes of him reflecting on his brother.
Right.
And the last one is pretty funny. It's like when Nathan's running because he's got to get away from the Scottish guy, and he's like, he can't get away, and everybody's hunting him down in the auction area. And he goes, "Sully, I'm thinking that you really have to buy that cross." Because he couldn't get it at that point. It's like some of those gimmicks that they have.
No, they had some good lines. The other thing that was memorable, but it's kind of hard to say, is just the Irish guy trying to speak, and he just like, what?
Don't understand you.
And he had to tell him like twice. Wait, hold on. What are you saying? I really don't understand you. So no, it was actually pretty cool.
Yep. All right, so that was pretty much our coverage for Uncharted. Now we like to move into what was formerly guilty pleasure movies, but since guilty pleasure movies are just movies that we love, I usually like to let the co-host give, and I usually give them one that I like, that I've been watching, or that I love to watch. So, Rob, what's something that you would like to add to or suggest to people to watch?
A movie that I like that came out back in I would say the 80s. It was a movie with Billy Crystal and I forgot the other actor, but it was called Running Scared.
Oh, yes.
That is honestly, that is my guilty pleasure. It's one of those movies that it just has some really dumb lines. Mm-hmm. Billy Crystal is just great at all the all the smart ass comments. And who's the other actor? Who passed away? I mean,
yeah, I know you're talking about. You know, there's a 2006 version.
Damn.
You forgot about that one?
Oh, yeah, there is. Look at that.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Gregory Hines,
yeah, phenomenal dancer.
Yes,
he was.
I think that's what he was most notable for.
Yeah,
is his
he's
dancing.
A tap dancer. So so tap dancer. But Jimmy Smits was actually in this movie also.
Oh wow!
As the bad guy. But it's one of those movies that I just love to watch. I don't know why. They're just like, it has some great stupid lines to it. So it's just, that's my guilty pleasure there. I saw it on the iTunes the other day for $5 and I was like, gosh, you damn right I'm going to get it.
Yeah, it was how often do you see something like that?
Exactly. So, that's my, I encourage people to see it. It was one of those movies. It's a fun buddy cop movie.
On a level of like Lethal Weapon and...
Yeah, but it wasn't over the top like Lethal Weapon. It was more just, very comedic in the sense.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they decided they're going to take a vacation to Florida, to Key West. So that made it also very funny. So, very fun movie to watch, I think. And like I said, it was Billy Crystal at a time when he was younger and just kind of...
He could actually do those parts.
Yeah, he could do those parts, exactly. Yeah, so that's my guilty pleasure there. That's the one I would recommend people to see if you could get your hands on one.
Awesome. Mine, that would be going in the same vein as this particular movie. We kind of mentioned it before. I mentioned it, you've mentioned it, National Treasure, but National Treasure 2, which was pretty cool. I like the Book of Secrets in 2007, and I'm hoping it's in development hell. The third one still supposedly is in progress, but we don't know if it'll ever come out.
Yeah, is it really gonna, you think it's actually gonna come out? I mean, I know that Nicolas Cage has gotten kind of a resurgence.
Yes.
In the last, year or so and things like that.
Yeah,
and
with Willy's Wonderland and a whole bunch of other...
Pig.
Yeah,
Pig is the one that people have been like really talking about. I haven't seen it. I actually bought it the other day on iTunes, and I'm eager to watch it. But yeah, the other day on iTunes, it's like all the $5 movies
just came out.
I would say a majority of them were all Nicolas Cage movies.
Oh, wow.
All of them. Yeah, it was just a ton of them. I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to spend that much money. But it was just, there was a lot of stuff there that I would have liked to get. And I was like, yeah, I'm just, nah.
It's one of those things, it's like you don't do physical media anymore, but everything is right there at your fingertips, and you can say, yes, I can see all these films.
No, I still do physical media, but the fact that it's $5, you're like, all right, why not?
That way you don't have to get off your couch and just put in a disc.
Exactly. Like, not so long ago, they did Denzel Washington, and there was just so many great things with him. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know. This is going to empty my bank account, I think.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, it just, National Treasure is funny because when you say National Treasure, it's one of those movies that made me enjoy, and I always hated American history, but made me enjoy the way it actually showed it.
And portrayed it. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
Even though probably there was a lot of inaccuracies in there.
Oh, it is definitely.
And I'm sure there was.
Some. Yeah.
Right. But it made it fun enough for me to go, you know what? I should probably look into American history a little more often.
Yeah. Make you appreciate where you live in this world.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this is where we come to the show where can listeners hear you?
Well, yeah, I have my own podcast called Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, where we like to review movies that did not make it in the box office. You know, overhyped movies actually that were not did not make it into the box office or were not critically great. So we tend to, what we like to do is just kind of analyze the movie. We talk about it, what we possibly think went wrong, all the behind the scenes drama that probably happened, and then we do our own fantasy picks on picking, maybe it's the actor, the director, maybe changing the storyline a little, all the way up to, I don't know, even craft services if we have to, but so we try to have fun with that, and and once in a while we do some reviews of movies that come out, especially the big tentpole movies. It's not the just not regular movies, just like the really big ones, like the one coming out in a few weeks, Doctor Strange.
Yep, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Which brings me to me. Well, listeners, you all know you could hear me on Panels to Pixels podcast, and I could be found on the Next Level Online Radio Podcast Network. And therein we cover everything that was adapted from comics to film, TV, animated. We're wrapping up Moon Knight soon, and we will definitely be doing a coverage on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So check those out when they come out. Might not be in line with what's going on, what we're covering with Moon Knight with this particular podcast, but go check it out if you haven't. And just leave us feedback if you can. And speaking of feedback, if you would like to submit your theories and feedback, you can just go to our Facebook page here, facebook.com/AdrenalineCinemaPodcast. Generally, I like to put in some pictures of what we're covering. This was kind of a sudden thing that we decided, hey, let's do this. And we did. But we will be posting it when we do post this up for you guys to either check out or listen to. I wouldn't mind if you guys left your feedback in the comments below when I do post it. So you can do that for previous podcasts that have already been released on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. You could also send us an email, a regular texted email, and you could send that to AdrenalineCinemaPodcast@gmail.com. Or, if you don't feel like writing or typing out anything, you could easily just record yourself on your phone or whatever device, anybody can do it nowadays, and then attach that particular voice message to it, the email, and send it in. And we'll play it on the podcast when we record next time. And if you're listening to us and you like what we do, please, refer us to a friend. Word of mouth is the best way for us to get noticed by other people, other than regular advertisement and things of that nature. And if you need to tell them where we could be heard, well, we could be heard on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, Deezer, or whatever podcast player of choice. I believe Buzzsprout gives us like over 30 at this point. So you could check tell your friends or family they could check us out there. So and if there's a review available on any of them, please do fill one out. It'd be amazing if you guys could do that, and I would appreciate that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for listening. And I want to thank Robert for joining me on this fun adventure of talking about Uncharted 2022.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I mean, it's always a pleasure doing these things with you.
Yeah, no problem. And to you listeners, we'll check you guys out later.
All right. Take it easy.